Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another Sunday Live. Sorry for the late start, just technical issues. Hopefully, we can go through the morning without any issues whatsoever. Welcome to another Sunday Live, where we do a 20-question mock test and it has a perception demonstration. We'll just turn it down. And answer any questions you have. That's why I go live on a Sunday. So if you guys have any questions through the week, want any questions explained, answered, about the driving test as well, driving lessons as well, this is why I'm here. So please feel free to type your questions into the comment section. Put a Q semicolon. Makes it a lot easier for me to find rather than going through all the different comments, because I may miss it, which means you got to type it out again. So in saying that, I think it's going out live. I can hear myself and see it. So let's just say hello to some of you guys that are here first thing in the morning. Oh, that's too big. Let's change this screen. Roll profile. And let's just reduce this. Like I said, technical issues. There's Rena. Good morning to you. How are you? Hopefully you are well. Good morning to you. I don't think I've seen your name before, so welcome to you. Zachariah, good morning to you. Francis, how are you? Long time. How's the driving going since you passed your theory in the study camp? Hopefully that's going well for you. I've just realised, hopefully something just happened there. My camera keeps flashing on and off, like I said, technical issues. Hopefully it's still going out because the live feed's going out. But we've got to carry on. But keep me informed. If you can hear me and see me, let me know. But unfortunately, it's nothing to do with me. It's actually YouTube that's going on as well. Good morning to you. I've not seen your name before, so welcome. Again, I don't think I've seen your name before, so welcome to you as well. All right, so let me do a quick overview of the theory test first, because I never assume that you guys know how it works. You'd be surprised how many. I actually had an email yesterday, someone who all they'd said was, I need a lot of help. And they was responding to an email I sent to them 3 years ago. And this is what I'm saying when you're studying. You can keep studying, and before you know it, 1 year's passed, 2 years passed. It's even when you've passed the theory test, it's really important that once you pass your theory test, you guys get on with your driving test, those driving lessons, because before you know it, a year has passed, 18 months have passed, and then you're trying to cram the lessons in before it runs out again. The theory test gets updated every 2 years. So if you've passed your theory test, for example, and you've waited to the back end of your expiry date before you pass your driving test, especially if it lapses and you've got to take another theory test, as much as you got to restudy what you did 2 years ago, there's going to be new stuff in there. I've actually talking to people this week. His theory test runs out June the 10th, I think it was. There is no way he's going to be ready for a driving test before June the 10th. So he has to book another one, which he's now got for June the 3rd. But now, like I said, he's got to do what he did 2 years ago, plus the new stuff. So 2 years ago, they wouldn't have had the first aid questions, as they have got it now, the defibrillator questions and the ADAS questions. So all that's going to be new to him. But lucky enough, he's got me as his driving instructor, so I can bail him out with that. But you guys won't have me as your driving instructor, so it means redoing it. So if you've passed your theory test, get on with your driving lessons, pass your driving test before the 2 years run out. If you're studying, don't keep studying, because like I said, the email that I received last night, she responded to an email I did 3 years ago when I first started to do courses online, which was the theory test made simple. And 3 years later, she still hasn't passed and still struggling. So time flies. So just be careful with that. Right, so multiple choice, 50 questions. The 50 questions are made up of 14 different categories. I will say that's why the title of this live feed, driving test success plus YouTube. What's come to my attention in the study camp is some of my students, the new students, that signed up about 7 days, 10 days ago are using the apps, the Theory Test Pro, because when you sign up for the study camp, you get access to my Theory Test Pro account, which means I can see how long you studied for, where you're going wrong, and I can give you pinpoint advice on what to do next. But like I said, in the study camp, it's come to my attention. I noticed as well from some of the emails I'm getting, some of the comments on YouTube, you guys aren't using the app and YouTube or apps and AI to help you out. And what I mean by that, there was a I think it was last week on the live as well, and in the study camp training afterwards, there were certain words that students wasn't aware of. Motorcycle was one of them. No, moped, sorry, it was one of them. And there was a couple of others in the study camp when we've done the training afterwards. And I'm thinking to myself, well, hold on a minute. If you don't know what the word is, how come you're coming to a live training session and you still don't know what the word is? So you've waited, whenever you've done that study, the people I'm talking about in particular, I think she'd done the test on Thursday, came to the training session on Sunday, the study camp, and still didn't know what the word is. You guys have to put some background work into. If you don't know what a certain word is, look it up, Google it, AI it, go onto YouTube, type it in. You can't answer questions, don't know what the word is, and just leave it at that. Just because you get the question right, that's even worse, because now if they reword the question and use a different word when you go for the real test, you're going to struggle. So if you don't understand a particular word, do some research. AI, Google, YouTube, especially on my channel, because I explain what certain words are. So when I give you the answer in certain situations, I explain what certain words are. You have to do some background information. If you're just sitting there using the apps and thinking, well, I don't know what that is, but I know what the answer is, you're going to struggle later on when you take the real test. But 50 questions, 14 categories is what your 50 questions is made up from. They are random 50 questions. So if there's 10 of you in the room, I say this every week, if there's 10 of you in the room, it's 10 different 50 questions. It's not the same for everybody. And the questions on the real test are the real questions. The questions on the apps are sampled questions. I'm going to say that again, because every single week I get a lot of emails to say, I took this theory test, I failed it because the questions was worded differently. I get 46, 47s on the mock test, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't matter what you get on the mock test. It's about understanding the answer. If you understand the answer, you're going to pass on the real test. If you don't understand the answer, you are going to struggle to a certain point. Time, you have 57 minutes, which is more than enough time to break it down, look for clues within the question, within the answers. You need 43 out of 50 to pass the multiple choice side of things. Hazard perception, once you move on after the 50 questions, is 14 videos. 13 of those videos have single hazards, which means you can score a maximum of 5. One of them's got a double 2 5s. I will show you a technique a little bit after this mock test of how to beat the system and how to click and what a hazard is. So if you are struggling, stick around with that. If you can't, watch the replay. When you go to answer, some of the answers, about 20 of those questions, like the 50, are common sense answers. Use some common sense behind it. But it also ties in what I said. If you know what the words mean, certain words, then you're going to be able to use common sense. But if you don't know what the words mean, then you're going to be guessing with that. But what they are really looking for is safety answers, because your driving test is based on safety and control. That's what the examiner looks for, the driving examiner. On the theory test, they're looking for the safety answer. And if it doesn't lead to safety, then it's going to be a controlled outcome, which is normally your first aid questions and your motorway questions. And if you are really struggling, like the person that emailed me yesterday after 3 years, I do run a study camp which helps you with that. As much as it's called a 30-day study camp, you have access to all the training materials until you pass. I know life gets in the way. I've got some students in there that's been in there for almost 2.5, going on to 3 months. And that's because life is getting in the way, work, traveling, on and all the rest of it. But you do have access until you pass. The reason why it's called a 30-day study camp, because technically that's the sweet spot. After 30 days of studying, I'm not talking about 2-3 hours at a time. just a 15-minute, 20 minutes here and there every single day kind of thing. You should be ready to take your theory test after 30 days. And the reason why you want to be doing that is because after a certain point, if you keep studying, you use up all the 774 questions in the app. Then it becomes a memorizing exercise because the app only has a certain amount of questions that is released, sampled questions. On the real test, they have a database of about 1,500 questions. So that's the reason why you don't be studying for 2, 3, 4 months using an app. So let's go back to see what you guys are saying. Where do we get to? I can't remember if I've done Samuel, but if I didn't, welcome Samuel. Victor, good morning to you, and this is my first session with you. Wow, welcome. Let me know what your journey is. If you're just starting studying, if you got a test coming up, how's your studying going? But welcome, Victor. Good morning to you. Sophie, good morning to you. Linda, good morning to you. Yeah, I'm staying healthy. And good morning to you. I don't think I've seen your name before, so welcome to you guys. All right, so let's just do this mock test, 20 question mock test. Share my screen with help. Right, so those of you that are new, the way we do this, we read the question. This is question 1. You're traveling in very heavy rain. How is this likely to affect your overall stopping distance? So if you think this is A. Top left, top right is B, bottom left is C, bottom right is D. So if you think it's A, please put question 1 and then put your A, because there's a delay between me and YouTube of about 30 seconds, I think it is, 30 to 40 seconds. So I want to make sure we're always on the same question, same answer when you type it in. So if it's like I said, if you think it's A, please put 1A, the question number, and then the letter of choice. But remember, if you have a question of any kind, regardless, type in the comment section and let me answer it. That's why I go live, to answer your question personal to you, because everyone's different. Good morning to you. Welcome. I've not seen your name, definitely ain't seen your name before. So many gaps. Daughter of a King 78. More doing waiting for my provision so I can get myself booked in. I appreciate you. Thank you for the appreciation. While you're waiting for your provisional, I'm assuming you're studying. That's what you hear. Just keep studying. So once that provisional comes in, then you should be good to go. Just get that driver's number of the provisional and book that theory test straight away. So yeah, just keep studying. No time is lost by waiting for your license. Good morning, this is my first session. I've got a test coming up. Nelson, first of all, good morning to you. Welcome to the channel. When's your test? And again, if you've got any questions, please put them in the comments section. I've got a B. I've got an A here. I'm going to put this one up because it's the first question, but Victor, please put the question number. I've got a D. That's interesting. I've got A, B's and D's. My test is next 18th May. 17th, 18th. Next Monday week. All right, so we've got another live next Sunday. So while you're studying this week, write down any questions, any concerns that you may have. Bring it to the live session next Sunday. And let me answer those and send you in there Monday week, nice and confident. And it's the same for all of you. When you come across difficult words or words you don't understand, jot them down and then bring it to the live session, and then let me explain it to you and give you context behind it. That's the whole reason why I go live. So as much as I'm saying, use your app of choice. Driving to Success should be your first choice, to be fair, but any app that you like. Plus YouTube, because the YouTube channel, there's other channels out there doing theory training, it's not just me. And or come along to the live sessions with your questions, let me answer it. But you have to use Can you pass just using the app? Yes, you can. But most people fail using the app because it doesn't give you background information. And if you look at the stats, only 47% of people pass first time, and on average it takes 3.3. I don't know where they got the 0.3 from, but it's actually 3.3 attempts to pass the theory test. And that's the reason, because you guys don't put the extra work in. If you feel that you can just use the app to pass, some people can, but the majority, or 57% of the people, can't use the app and just pass. You need some more background information on the questions. So that's the reason why I go live, to help you guys out. I got 28th here. Sorry, 25th. Can't read numbers. So you got a couple of more Sundays as well. I've got 29th. I've got doubled. I've got B. I'm having reflecting. Let me start and I'll show you a simple way of doing the studs. Right, let's reveal the answer on this one. It's double. 10 times longer, because I had an 8 on here. 10 times longer is ice. It'd be ice and snow. How can it be halved if it's raining? Someone went for a D. You're trying to get. How can your distance be halved if it's raining? Anyway, it's B. What style of driving causes increased risk to everyone? People watching your faces, my problem is about road signals. Road signals. Okay, let me come back to that. My test is not. Oh, some of you got, quite a few got tested in May, which is great. So if you pass it, get on with your driving. Hopefully, you can get your driving tests done before the summer's out, before winter and the dark evenings comes in. That's gone. Hi Dorian, my colleague and I called last week. Is it better to send an email because we called and the line went to voicemail? From memory, I think you went to book a driving lesson, didn't you? Because you was in Luton, if I'm not mistaken. If it goes to voicemail, leave a message. Paul, we get back to you. Paul monitors the phone lines, but he's a driving instructor just like I am. So if we don't answer the phone, it's because we're on a lesson. I will never answer my phone unless it's family, and then we got a technique where they do 2 missed calls, and then on the third one they let the phone ring, so I know it's important. But if it's a family member and it's not important, they will just ring. Obviously I don't answer, they know I'm on a driving lesson. I personally will never answer my phone, and most decent instructors will never answer their phone on the driving lesson. You pay for my time, I'm giving you my time. I'm not going to use your time to talk to somebody on the phone, so leave a voicemail and they will get back to you. So Paul will definitely get back to you without a doubt on that situation. That's what voicemail's for. Send an email. If you send an email, we get lots of emails, so it's only going. If you're not one of the first emails, obviously we address the emails as it comes in. Phone calls we pick up as soon as work finishes, and we'll go through the list of phone calls. It's better to do the phone call, leave a voicemail is the answer I would give you on that. I'll come back to your comment in a minute. I need to address that. First of all, good morning. Sorry, I'm just trying to read your comment and read your name at the same time. First of all, welcome, because I've not seen your name before. So I believe you are silent watcher or first time here. Oh, wow. Okay, so you passed your 49 out of 50. You missed it by 1, got 1 question wrong, and 65 out of 75. That's brilliant. Well done to you. And thank you for coming to the live session and letting me know that you passed it. So what's next for you now? Driving lessons or driving tests. And remember, I don't sit on it for 2 years. 8 tries. Well done to you for keep going. Well done. Again, what's next for you? Welcome, by the way, because I've not seen your name before. Should have said that first. Yeah, last week you worked because it was bank holiday weekend, so you wanted to book a lesson in Luton. Leave a message when you phone tomorrow. Paul's away. Still leave a message. No doubt when he's away, he'll pick up his message because he's a workaholic. Or somebody else will. These last 2 questions coming from my first last week apart. 45. I should be 45 out of 50, not 33 and 50 out of 75. Congratulations, passing again. What's next for you? Was that Liam? Lee James. Again, I don't think I've seen your name before, so welcome to the channel, by the way. I passed my theory after not doing it where I live. Yeah, that's a common myth. A lot of students who fail it lots of times tend to feel that it's the area they live, so they take it somewhere else. If it works for you, works for you. It's the way the mind works. If it feels that it's the area's not right for you, then obviously do what you need to do. Obviously, it's worked for you. It's same thing like driving tests. Some people hear certain things about driving test centres and say they don't want to go there. If that, like I said, that's how the brain works. If the brain says you're not comfortable in a certain venue, then yeah, change it. You have to do what you have to do for you to pass. Let me come back to that. No, you're welcome. Pass after 3 attempts. You got to just keep going. You just got to literally keep going. All right, what's the common answer? D. Competitive. On the real test, they can put competitive, fast, and aggressive driving, I think it is. What should you do if you think the driver of the vehicle in front has forgotten to cancel their right indicator? All right, let me just address some of these comments. I'm having issues with reflective studs. Right, with reflective studs, there is a video on the channel. I need to update it as well, but there is a video on the channel. It's about a year and a half, 2 years, but it's still relevant. When they ask you the stud question, it's going to be one of 2 ways. It's going to be the location they mention, or they're going to be the color. If it's the color, they're asking what lane you're in, and if they give you the location, they're asking the color of the studs. And once you work out what the location is, whether it's going to be left, middle, or right, and then you go to the word motorway. The word motorway is on your computer screen. You don't have to spell it because it's a motorway question. So they have to have the word motorway. And then you isolate these 3 letters, R, W, A. Just those 3 letters, R, W, A. So like I said, once you work out whether it's the location or the color they're asking you, go to those 3 letters and it gives you the exact lane you're in. So R is on the left of the 3 letters, so it's going to be left-hand lane or red. W is in the middle of the R and the A, white. And amber is on the right-hand side, A for amber. And if they say slip road, then you just go for green because slip road's not a lane. That's the simplest way. If that didn't make sense, jump on the channel and you'll see the video and it breaks it down. That's the simplest way of doing it. Work at location or color, go to those 3 letters, and it's easy from there. I've been watching your videos. My problem is about road signals. I'm a bit afraid I failed, I think you said in the last comment 2 times. I had this last week and I get this every single week again in emails. Your issue is not signals, and I'll tell you why it's not signals. You may think it's signals and it may be an issue, but not enough to fail you, because the test is 50 questions. you need 43 to pass. They're not asking you 7 road signals on the test, because it's not the ask. I know it's random, but they're not going to ask you. The most you're probably going to get is about 5. So even if you got 5 road signals wrong, you're still getting 45 out of 50. You said you failed it twice, which means you're getting 8 or more questions wrong. You did not get 8 road signals. It's your general knowledge overall. But because you keep telling yourself it's signals, I'm assuming you're studying stuff around that and panicking around that. And that's the reason why you're going to fail. Unless you address the overall issue, you're going to keep failing. And if you don't believe me, you said you failed it twice. Hopefully you kept the paperwork they gave you. You should never throw that paperwork away because it's data. Look at the paperwork and I guarantee you got 5 or more categories wrong in on those both tests. And if road signals was your issue, then you can't get 5 categories wrong out of 14. And that's the reason why you're failing. You're not addressing the overall problem. A lot of people do that. They think just because they get 2 or 3 questions wrong in the same topic, that's what your problem is. That's not your problem. You've got an overall problem of understanding because you've got 8 or more questions wrong. That's a lot of questions to get wrong on the test that you studied for. That's the reason why. Change your mindset. That's all it is. Once you do that, you'll start to see a better result. Sorry, number 3. Let's find the phrase. Some of you not putting the question number, so I don't know if we're on the same page. Like I said, please put the question number on. Right, you guys are going for D, another D. Yep, definitely stay behind. Safe, that's the safest option, which is what you're looking for. What should you do if you park on the road when it's foggy? What should you do if you park on the road when it's foggy? I ain't seen that question in ages. That's just worded differently. That's worded differently. Right, let's take a look at this one. Andrea, good morning to you. Unfortunately, I failed my 35, 51. Has perception's fine, 51. Still can work on that, 44, 7. That's 7 over the pass mark. Still work on that. I really know what you would say. I'm not sure how you're relating that to me, by the way, but 35, if I'm honest, I've got to keep it real. It's not what you want to hear, but if you're realistic, it makes it better for the second time round. If you studied for it, which I'm assuming you did, and you got 35 out of 50, that's 15 questions wrong. There's a severe lack of knowledge and understanding. I won't say lack of knowledge, lack of understanding what they're asking, because like I said, there's about 20 to 25 questions common sense out of that. So let's say that's 20. And then you only got 15 right on top of that out of studying. So like I said, you got 15 questions wrong. That's a lack of understanding. I would definitely look at the category section that they gave you. If you got 35, you're looking at least 8 categories wrong. Some of them probably 2 to 3 questions wrong in those particular categories as well. So at least 8 categories, and there's only 14 categories, so that's over half. That would suggest there's a lack of understanding, so you need to brush up on the understanding. Normally I would say go and look at the categories and restudy the categories, but that ain't going to help you. And the reason why, because when you go back for the next test, it's going to be a different set of 50 questions. So if the understanding isn't there, the next 50 questions still ain't going to change anything. So I would definitely go back and do each individual categories and get an understanding of what they're asking and why the answer's correct in that. So there's a bit more work to be done on that. Number 4. Melissa, good morning to you. I've got A's and B's on there as well. Some of you are... Is that Sadiq? Am I saying that right? Good morning to you anyway. Welcome. Right, got B's on here, but what did someone go for? So a different answer. Yes, there's a couple of you gone for B's. Some of you not putting the question number. I'm assuming if you're talking about this one, you've gone for the ones who didn't put question number, gone for B's as well. That's interesting. So let me just double check this. I've got 4 A's. Let's just do this again. 4 B's, 4 A's. Right, let's take a look at B. Leave dipped headlights and fog lights switched on. This question's worded different. I've not seen it worded like this before. It says, what should you do if you park on a road when it's foggy? The key here is park. You're parked. If you leave dip lights on and fog lights on, that suggests you're driving. That's driving lights. Leave parking lights on. So the answer is still parking lights. So it's C. And none of you have gone for C. Yeah, I've gone for A or B. Leave dip lights switched on. It's not going to be A. That's driving lights. Technically, it's not going to be B because that's driving lights. It's dipped and fog lights. It's definitely not going to be main beam. That's country lanes. It should be parking lights. Look, what number is this? Number 4. Let me jot this down. Number 4. Just in case it's wrong, I've gone for 4B. No, sorry, I've gone for 4C. I'm going to go with what you guys are going for. 4C. What did you guys go for? The majority is 4B. I'm going to pick, this is what you guys are picking. You guys have gone for 4B. That's the common answer. But no one's gone for a C. That's interesting. My thought process behind this, like I said, this is worded different. I've not seen it be worded like this before with foggy. Dipped headlights and fog lights are driving lights, but it says you're parked. Leave parking light. That's the clue. Parking lights. But like I said, I've not seen it worded like that before on the app. So I'm going to go with what you guys go for because this is about you, not about me. There you go. See, it's wrong. See, you guys learn live. And this is why we do what we do. There's been a heavy fall of snow. What should you consider before driving in these conditions? Sadiq, I passed my ferry last 2 weeks ago. Thanks for your help. No problem. Thank you for coming to the channel, by the way, and breaking the silence. Because like I said, I've not seen your name before, so definitely welcome with that. Didn't realise you could leave just parking lights. And yes, the reason why, again, this, like I said, it's about understanding. The question normally is you've parked on a road of 30 miles an hour or parked on a road that exceeds 30 miles an hour. That's how the question is normally worded. Actually, that's one of the first times I've seen with the fog. I did get an email from the DVSA about 4 weeks ago, give or take. They are updating the question, not changing the question, they're just wording it slightly differently. As a licensed trainer, we do get that information. So they're not adding any new questions in, they're just changing the wording slightly, and I'm assuming that's one of them that they've changed, because like I said, I've never seen it with fog before. But the question normally is you're parked on a road of 30 miles an hour or parked on a road of 40 miles an hour. What should you do? The reason why the answer is parking lights is because you're parked and the road is faster. So obviously if the road is faster, people are driving fast, 40, 50, 60 miles an hour. They need to know that you are parked. Parking lights doesn't kill your battery. It's just 2 little side lights at the front and the back. And someone sees that, they know you're parked, which means they can plan their lane changes early. That's the reason why. And as I said on the previous question, because I can't go back to it, the fog lights and dipped headlights are driving lights. But the clue in the question was you're parked. So hopefully, Linda, that explains why you leave parking lights on. Number 5. Like I said, it's all all about understanding. And unfortunately, the apps don't give you that background information. Some of you just not type in the question number. So like how Four Corners have done it, just type whatever the question number is, and then the letter of choice. Right, you guys can 5B on this one. Yeah, if it's ice and snow, ask yourself, is it worth, I just got an A come through on this, Victor. Just ask yourself whether or not it's worth taking the risk of driving in those conditions. A, what's A? Whether you should fit an amber flashing beacon on your car. Amber beacons is for slow moving vehicles. Your car's not slow moving. Yes, it may be driving slowly in ice and snow, but it's not a slow moving vehicle. It's only driving slow because of the conditions. Slow moving vehicles drive slowly regardless of the conditions. So that's why it's not A. What does this sign mean? Some of you are coming through now. Right, let's address some of your comments on that. Right. Anya, not seen your name before, so welcome. Hi, I'm applying for a provisional, so I've got an identity letter from the I don't know, this is new to me. I'm applying for a provisional, so I've got an identity letter. Identity letter? I'm assuming that you're not a UK resident. I didn't fill in the part for someone else to verify my identity because that could be a problem. You're applying for a provisional license. When you apply for a provisional license, you're supposed to send a photo in, and on the back of the photo, you should have someone sign that to verify your driving instructor, a lawyer, solicitor, doctor. So that should be the identification, and their details should be on the form. So if they need to contact that person, it could be, but I can't verify yes or no if that's the problem. What I would suggest you do is phone up the DVLA tomorrow and talk to them and see. How long have you been waiting for? I would phone them up tomorrow and find out. I can't say yay or nay on that one because your photo should have been signed by someone to identify you. I feel like my instructor isn't taking me seriously because I haven't passed my theory. I feel like my instructor isn't taking me seriously because I haven't passed my theory. Why do you think that? Tell me why you think that. Good morning, Doran. I had a question. I'm currently preparing for my theory test. Let me come back to that. Let me just do number 6. We're on 6. Let me just do 6 first and I'll come back to that. I need to address that. Here's the first one, I think. I've got a D here. Right, the majority of you are going for C, but someone's gone for a D. What is C? Yeah, look at the image. Left lane's open, middle lane's open, right lane's closed. What's the right lane for buses only? Here we go, studs. What colour the reflectors does between the lanes on the motorway? So exactly, I gave you how to work it out. Let's see if you guys can work it out. What colour are the reflective studs between the lanes on the motorway? Let me do this. Yeah, Andrea, let me know why you think your instructor's not taking you seriously, because that shouldn't be right. Good morning, I had a question. Right, I had a question. I'm currently preparing for my theory test with the 4-in-1 app. How similar are the questions on the theory test compared? Some of the questions are similar, just worded differently. The words are messed around, similar to the one I just showed you with, if you was here with the fog one. I've never seen that one before on the app. It's normally just parked on the road at 40 miles an hour. It's, the questions are similar, just worded differently. The words are sort of twisted, the answers are twisted around. But there's going to be questions you have never seen before, and that's why it's about understanding what they are looking for in terms of safety, control, that type of thing. So they may change the words. For example, there's one about burns, cold water is what you're looking for on the apps. On the real test is non-toxic fluid that comes to mind, stuff like that. So it's just about understanding. So the words, the questions aren't much different. It just worded differently and maybe using different words that you're not used to. That's why you shouldn't memorize answers. But there's going to be questions that you have never come across before, and you may get 2 or 3 of those. You may get 5 or 6 of those. Like I said, the test is random, but it still comes down to understand. If you understand the question, understand the answer, it doesn't really make a difference how they word it, what question comes up, because safety will always be in your forefront. What are we on? 7. It was a mistake. Oh, the answer you picked. That's how it works on a real test. You guys picked the wrong answer by mistake. That's why you need to read it carefully. Some of you are still doing your test in 20 minutes, 15, 20 minutes, and the outcome is a fail because you read it too fast, didn't understand it, blah, blah, blah. I never understand why someone wants to do a test, a 57-minute test in 20 minutes. I've seen a lot of that in study camps, and I have words with them lot. And I had a student, funny enough, do that as well, failed the test 4 times before coming to the study camp. First thing I noticed, he was doing it way too quick. Explained to him, slow down, blah, blah, blah. Guess what he did? Didn't slow down, took another test while he was in the study camp, failed it. Asked him how long did he take to do the real test. He said about 22 minutes. What conversation did we have? Blah, 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 slow down. So I said, do me a favor, the next test, slow yourself down and see what the outcome was. And if you did it in 20 minutes, all 50 questions in 20 minutes, what I want you to do, I'm not a big fan of this, but I needed him to double check his work if he'd done it in 20 minutes. Go back to number 1 and reread the question, reread the answers for all of them. Even though you really picked an answer, he turned around and said that's what he did. He done it in 20 minutes, blah, blah, blah. He took my advice, reread it. 40 odd minutes it took him in overall. And the result was a pass. Some of you are failing because you're going too fast, not because you don't understand it. You just miss keywords. Like the fog one, for example, like I said, I read that 2 or 3 times. I've never seen the fog in the question before. So even if I'm reading the question 2 or 3 times and I teach this thing every single week, then the question is why you guys are reading it once, because you're not picking up what I'm picking up. That's the reason why. So there's different reasons for different failures. It's not always the same thing because of lack of knowledge. Please, what is the best app to use? I can't answer what the best app is. I recommend the driving test, I say, because that's what I use. I just think it's easier to use. They're putting some driving stuff in there, which means you can use it after you pass your theory test as well. But whether it's the best one or not, I can't answer that because I don't use the others. Sorry, I'm trying to find the 7s and go through your comments at the same time. 7. I've got a D here. I've got 2 A's, then we go D's. So most of you, all of you now going for D's, so I've got to see D's correct. Right, let me break this down because someone asked about the stud questions. If you remember what I said they're going to give you colour or location. That's only 2 ways they're going to ask the question, colour or location. So in this case, it's location. What colour are the reflective studs between the lanes, which means the middle lane. So you go to the word motorway, RWA, and the letter in between is white. So that's why it's there. So the person who asked about the studs, you got a perfect example there. And again, that's why we go live. Some 2-way roads are divided into 3 lanes. Why are they particularly dangerous? Let me finish your comments. There's Rena. I'm really struggling to fully understand some of the questions. That's the title of this live. YouTube and your app of choice. Go into YouTube, type it in, or use AI, Google. I know it's important not to rely on memorizing or guessing, but I'm finding it quite difficult at the moment. Definitely shouldn't memorize, definitely shouldn't be guessing. Yeah, that's the only thing I can suggest. If you don't understand the words, jot them down, jump into Google, AI, YouTube, and go from there. Or jot them down, bring it to the live session like we are now, and bring it along there. You have to, like I said, the title of the video, because I've sold this a lot last week in my group of students as well. They are not finding out what the words mean. They're guessing. Some of them guessing right, some of them guessing wrong in terms of the answer, but it doesn't change the fact when you go for the real test, you still have that lack of knowledge. You do not want to be risking going to a test with a lack of knowledge. Find out what these questions, answers, words, whatever it is mean by just, like I said, YouTube, Google, AI. You guys have to put that little bit extra work in. If you're just going to rely on the apps, you're asking for you guys to be one part of the 57% of people that are failing. That's going to take it 3.3 times. I've not seen your, have I got it up there? Yeah, I've not seen your name before, so welcome. First of all, you're welcome. Thank you for coming to the live. I've not seen your name before, unless you were just a silent watcher. So thank you for coming to the live session. Let us know that you passed. I've got someone shouting at me. Well done to you for not using any apps. As I mentioned earlier on, can you pass just doing with the apps? Yes. Can you pass with no apps? Yes. Some people can, some people can't. Whether you're one of them, I don't know which one you are, but what I'm saying to you is give yourself the best possible chance of passing by using an app and YouTube and AI and Google. But well done for you for not using any apps though. Someone asked me here, Miss Lady. I've not seen your name before, so welcome to the channel. What app are you using to answer these questions? This is the Driving to Success. This is the desktop app. I'm using the desktop version, where you guys would be using the app on your mobiles or tablet. The desktop version, it costs a lot more. It's more the driving instructor's version, if that makes sense. Right, what are we on? 8. No problem, you're welcome. B is what you guys are going for. Yeah. When should you use hazard warning lights? Good morning, Donna. Thank you so much. I passed my theory test on Wednesday. Congratulations on passing 46 out of 50. And 61 out of 61 is a high score. 61 out of 75. Congratulations on passing. And thank you for coming to the live session. Let me know. I can't explain how much it means that you guys actually come to the live session and let me know that you are passing the theory test, because it means obviously the content I'm putting out is helping. I appreciate you coming to the live, whether pass, fail, or just studying either way, because it means a lot. But yeah, it's nice to know that you guys are passing and coming, because it does inspire other people, believe it or not. So, well, if they can do it, I can do it, blah, 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 and all the rest of it. So thank you for that. Andrew, I'm still waiting for your comment. If you are going to do it, why do you feel your instructor is not taking you seriously? So I can address it. I don't know if you have typed it. I haven't seen it. So let me just double check to make sure first of all. Maybe accusing you of something that you've already done. Nope, don't see a comment from you. Number 9. You guys gone for the C on this one. All right, I've seen your comment, Andrea. Let me put it to one side. I'm going to come back to that in a minute because I haven't read it yet. 9C. Yeah, causing obstruction, so it's got to be hazard. What should you do if you have to make a journey in foggy conditions? Right, he has cancelled me twice in 1 month. He's also cancelled on the eve before my... Did he give a reason why he's cancelled? He's cancelled on me twice in 1 month. He's also cancelled on the eve before my theory. He's really good and calm, but I'm considering changing him. What's the reason he's given for cancel? Driving test has priority. So if that's the reason why, because his student found a last minute test or something, that makes sense. And any instructor would do that because, like I said, driving test has priority over driving lessons. If he's just generally cancelling, that's not good to practice. If he's good and calm, you've got to think about it. I'll tell you why, because good, calm instructors are hard to find. So you may change to another instructor who's reliable, won't cancel, but are they going to be good for you? So you have to weigh up your options on that one, because you're saying he's good and you're saying he's calm. That's what you really need in a driving instructor. So you've got almost a perfect instructor there in that sense, but with the cancellation twice in 1 month and then cancel on the eve of the theory test is not a good thing, especially it's on the eve of the theory test. That's not a good message to be sending out to a pupil. That's a discussion you got to have with yourself first and foremost, and then have a discussion with him about cancellations. But like I said, if he gives you the reason for a driving test, student had the driving test, any instructor would be doing the same, because if my pupil has a driving test, I have to cancel the driving lesson that's taken up that slot, because it does have priority. But again, with me, if I do cancel a lesson, which is rare, I cancel the driving lesson, I give my reasons why. I always tell the people why I'm cancelling. I don't just cancel, so they know the reason behind it. I can't see it's because you haven't passed the theory test, though. I think that's a bit harsh. If he didn't book you in advance, then that's different, because he's probably got a waiting list and he's trying to get the pupils who have passed the theory test through. But I don't think he's not taking you seriously. I just think he's got issues going on with cancellation. You need to have that discussion with him, to be fair. Sorry, it's number 10. He gave you no reason. Like I said, it's a conversation you got to have, because if he's good, he's calm, he's good for you, do you want to give that up? Because, like I said, not every instructor is calm, not every instructor is good. There's a B here. Hello to you. So, yeah, like I said, you have to weigh up, because, like I said, good, calm instructors are few and far in between. So you got to weigh up. I've got quite a few students who've come to me from other instructors and scream and shout, they're not reliable, blah, blah, blah. I never understand why an instructor screams and shouts anyway, but yeah, like I said, you have to weigh up. When you got a good one, you want to hang on to them, but you don't want them to set the mickey out of you either in terms of cancelling lessons, because you need consistency in terms of when you're learning. So what did you guys go for? A. If it's not this one on the real test, it is going to be clean your windscreen, clean your headlights. Same question, different option. What does this sign mean? Just out of interest as well, Andrew, when he cancels, does he reschedule it, as in try to fit you in somewhere else in the same week? So let's just say your lesson was on a Monday and he cancelled it. Would he try to fit you in the same week so you still have a lesson that week, or literally cancels and I'll see you next week? I failed my test twice. Question is why? You just said I don't know if you're asking me or just making a statement. Did you fail on the questions? Did you fail on hazard perception? What did you get out of the 50? There's lots of questions to be answered there. But if you're asking, I don't know if, like I said, I don't know if you're making a statement that you failed twice, so you're asking me to say you failed twice. How can I help you in that sense? You guys are going for, I've got a C here. A and C, weighting restrictions apply. That's the weighting restrictions. What's D? Sorry, what was C? Clearway no stopping is a red X. It'd be a red X with a single diagonal red. It is the weighting restrictions. Just in case you didn't know, again, this is what I'm saying about understanding. As much as you know it's weighting restrictions, do you guys know what the weighting restriction is? That's the question I would say to you, because on the real test, they can ask you what the weighting restriction is. So it's a weighting restriction, and the weighting restriction is you can drop off and pick up passengers, but you can't wait for them for a length of time. So I repeat, the restriction is, just in case you get asked on the real test, is that you can drop off, pick up, but you can't wait for your passengers. When may you drive your car in this bus lane? Sorry, you've made 2 comments here. I want to book a new date, but I want to study with you before I do. Study with me. If you want to study with me, as in with me helping you, that's just, my camera's going again, I can see it jumping around. Hopefully it's still going out live. So if you want to study with me, that's the study camp. I'll put the link in the description for you. If it's studying as in using the YouTube stuff, then you're free to obviously jump on YouTube and go through that section. I would do the study with me series. And practice makes you better series. There's a I can't remember what it's called now. It's been so long since I've been doing YouTube videos. There's a playlist, that's the word I'm looking for. Study with you, study with me, and practice makes you better series. It gives you a head start with all the topics. So I've done a video, I think the home study one was 20 questions, I want to say, just gives you a head start with that. But if you want personal guidance, then it's the study camp, which is your best bet on that one. You guys gone for B, you meant B. Am I doing the right one here? 12B, you may not use it at any time. You guys have gone for, the majority of you have gone for B. You may not use it at any... Why did you get that answer? Victor's gone for C. Patients have gone for C. We'll see outside his hours of operation. I have to go because this is about you guys. So I'm going for the majority. The majority of you gone for B, but I know B's wrong. But I have to go with the majority. There's only 3 of you who's gone for C. There's about 7 or 8 of you who's answering. It's more than that. It's actually about 10 of you gone for B. But the question I've got to ask myself is why, how did you get that answer? Monday to Friday. Let me explain this. Again, it's about understanding. So let me just do this. When may you drive a car in... Let me just read the question again to make sure I'm reading it right. When may you drive a car in this bus lane? When may you drive a car in the bus lane? So when can you drive in the bus lane is what it's saying. Monday to Friday, 7 till 10, you can't drive your car in the bus lane. That's what this says. Monday to Friday, you cannot drive your car. After 10 a.m., but before 4 p.m., you can drive your car in the bus lane. And between 4 p.m., 6:30 p.m., this is normally rush hour to rush hour, you can't drive your car, but anytime after 6:30 p.m. and before 7 a.m. again, you can. So it's outside its operation, but I have to go with what you guys are choosing. You're going for B. That's wrong. Interesting. That the majority of you gone for B. Right, you want to put a rear-facing baby seat on the front passenger seat. What must you do? The passenger seat is protected by a frontal airbag. So I'm going to put these guys up. You guys, I know what you meant. Meant to say 12. These guys got it right. But it came through after the event. So I've not seen your name before. Definitely, that's the longest name I've seen on YouTube. I failed my test yesterday, Saturday. 41 out of 50. It's 9 questions wrong. 62. Here we go again. 62 has perception. That's fine. There's not an issue with the has perception. So I will put that on hold. And this is where you guys keep going wrong. I'll then just read this again so I explain and break it down again. I failed my theory test. Sorry, I failed my test yesterday. 41 out of 50 multiple choice. 62 out of 70. So as I said, 62 out of 70 is brilliant. There's nothing wrong with that. Park your hazard perception. Don't worry about that because it's very rare that someone passes hazard perception really well and fail on the next attempt. 41 out of 50, and then you go on to say, I think my challenge is rules of the road. Right, you done it yesterday, so hopefully you got the paperwork, and I'm going to prove my point live. What you want to do is go and grab your paperwork while we are live and go to the section they gave you. Now, you said, I think my challenge is rules of the road. In other words, you failed because you got lots of rules of the road questions wrong. Now, you look on your sheet and tell me if you got 6, 7, 8 questions on rules of the road. I guarantee you did not. I guarantee you with 9 questions wrong, you would have got at least 5, maybe 6 categories wrong, which means you got a problem with 5 or 6 categories, not 1. So you have to solve those 5 or 6 categories before booking the next test. If you book a next test only thinking rules of the road is your problem, you are going to fail the next test because you haven't addressed the other 4 or 5 categories. But like I said, if I'm wrong, type wrong in the comment section if you check your paperwork. But there's no way on earth you got 6 or 7 rules of the road questions wrong. And even if you did, that still gives you 44. And this is what you guys have got to stop doing. My challenge, my weakness is one particular topic. It's not the one topic. If it's one topic, take your test, because I guarantee you're not going to get 8 questions in that one topic, which means if you've got one weakness, you're still going to pass anyway. Sorry, 13B. You have to change your mindset when you guys and think you're struggling on one particular topic. It's an overall problem you've got. You just need to work out what that problem is. You guys gone for B. Yeah, deactivate, turn it off. That's what that means. Deactivate, turn it off. Let me again give you some context behind that. We do cover this on. When did we cover this? Monday. Cover this Monday on the study camp. Each airbag can be turned off individually, and the reason why you turn it off, because if it goes off accidentally or in an accident, it can suffocate or injure the child. That's why it's deactivate or turn it off in simple language. See, I've got D's coming through here. Put the child in an adult seatbelt. Why would you? The question says you want to put a rear-facing baby seat. Baby seat. How can you put a baby seat in an adult seatbelt? That doesn't add up to safety. Baby, adult. I know where that's coming from. There's a question that says if a child booster seat is not available, what do you do? A child booster seat is not available, what do you do? You make the child wear an adult seatbelt. That's where you guys are getting confused. Again, this is where I'll go back to understanding. You can see some of you are memorizing the answer and going for this when it's a different question. That's why memorizing is not good. It's about understanding. Baby seat, child booster seats, two different things. You're driving past parked cars. What should you do if you see a bicycle wheel sticking out between the cars? Samuel, you learn something new every day. That's why you come to the live sessions. Yeah, airbags can be turned off. There's either a button that turns them off, or there's like a thing you can put your key in and just turn it off individually. So for a parent who's carrying a baby, you can turn it off individually so it doesn't go off. And the reason why you put a baby seat on the front passenger seat and it's front facing, so the child can see the parent's face and it keeps the child calm. The last thing you want to do is drive with a screaming child in the car because it's lack of concentration. So the reason, again, like I said, understanding context. So you put the baby seat on front, so it's front facing. So if the child looks to their left, they can see the parent and they know the parent's in the same environment rather than not seeing anything at all. That's the reason why. But a child boost, I repeat, child booster seat and an adult, a child booster seat and a baby seat is two different things. They're not the same thing. And again, it goes back to what I'm saying about understanding the question. The apps don't give you those background information that I just gave you. And that's why you should use Google and AI. I would also add, just in case, 'cause I know some of you that comes up, because again, I get this in the study camp, and I'm using information that I'm getting from my own students. That's why I know some of you are doing the same mistakes. Using Google and AI is not cheating. You're studying. That's the whole point. Do research. It's no different from you going to the library, doing research for college, uni, whatever it is. It's the same thing. It's not cheating. It's just that you can't use that information, i.e. have your phone and then Google stuff while you're in there. That's why they do a security check and make sure you take nothing like that in there. And that would be cheating, but studying at home, that's research. That's not cheating. We are on 14. Right, you guys are going for D. Yeah, that's the safest option, slow down. What should you do to reduce the risk of your vehicle catching fire? School 42 in general. Yeah, 8 questions wrong. It's going to be about 5, on average, about 5 categories. Please, when are you allowed to use your horn on the build-up area, and when are you allowed to use your... That's the same question, or is this my dyslexia making it sound like the same question? Please, when are you allowed to use your... That's the same... You're asking the same question within the same sentence. So it's just my brain's working overtime on this one. Anyway, the answer to your question is, when are you allowed to use your horn? When are you allowed? They don't ask you the question of when you're allowed. They ask the question when you're not allowed to use your horn. So it's not when you're allowed to use it. It's when are you not allowed to use it. And the answer's between 11:30 p.m. and 7 a.m. You're not allowed to use it between 11:30 p.m. and 7 a.m. If you put it on the way that you're doing it, then obviously you can use it after 7 a.m. but before 11 p.m. But on the theory test, they don't ask you when are you allowed to use it, because it's about safety. If you're allowed to use it, they're not going to ask you that. The question is when you shouldn't be doing it. So it's between 11:30 p.m. and 7 a.m. in the morning. It's technically classed as disturbing the peace. 15. Got a B here. C is what you guys are going for. Check out. Yeah, just like you would do at home. If you smell gas, you check that out. What circumstances require you to notify the driver and vehicle licensing agency, otherwise known as DVLA? Are we also, with that horn question, there's one with the lights as well, but this is on the real test. They stopped doing it in the app. When should you turn your lights on? And our options are when visibility is poor, less than 100 meters, and the other one is half an hour after sunset. Is another version of that on the real test I'm talking about. So when should you turn your dipped headlights on? And the option could be half an hour after sunset. And how do you know when it's half an hour after sunset? The street lights come on. So when the street lights come on, then you should turn your dip headlights on. So I'll repeat that because, like I said, that's not on the app now. It's on the real test. So when should you turn your lights on? Your dipped headlights when driving. If it's not when visibility is poor, then the other option's half an hour after sunset. Multiple choice, 40 out of 50 has perception, 45, 75. 10 questions wrong, so that's lack of knowledge. So I would do each category individually, build it up, and hazard perception. I definitely would practice hazard perception. The reason for that is because you only got one over the pass mark. That's possible. You can go for the next test. You may pass the questions but fail the hazard perception. You've got no breathing space with that. If you, again, what I would do as well, with the 40 out of 50, that would suggest probably 6-7 categories wrong. That's a lack of knowledge. That's just lack of knowledge. I would go back to basics, do all the categories individually, build up my knowledge on that and understanding on that. And hazard perception, take a look on your breakdown of the marks you got. If you got quite a lot of zeros, ones and twos, that suggests you don't know what hazard is. So you're clicking late. That's what I said with the failure sheet. You got data, you just have to use it in a positive way. But like I said, what most of you do, get it and then you put it to one side and don't take in the data, so you don't know what to study next. 16. I'm assuming that's supposed to be 16. Done it again. 16B. Yeah, health changes or your dress changes is the other option. And at an incident, a casualty is unconscious but breathing. When should you move them? I've not seen your name before, so welcome to the channel, by the way. Welcome to the live session. What new rule are we talking about? I don't know what new rule you're talking about. So if you'd like to type that in, I can answer the question. Because there's quite a few new rules that's come in, so I don't know which one you're talking about because you've passed your theory test. Yeah, let me know what rule you're talking about and I can clarify it for you. Samuel, the question is, when shouldn't you use your horn? And you shouldn't use it after 11:30 p.m. and before 7 a.m. So 11:30 tonight and between that time and 7 a.m. Monday morning, you should not be using the horn as in beep, beep, beep. Again, I'll tell you why. Understanding context. What does beeping the horn mean? And what does flashing the lights mean? And both of them are warning of your presence. So after 11:30 p.m. it's dark, so you don't need to use your horn to wake people up. You can flash your lights because your lights are going to be seen clearly flashing at night. That's why the two are the same. A lot of people don't realize that. So I repeat, daytime, you flash your lights, it's not really going to be seen unless someone's looking directly at you. So you beep your horn to let people know daytime. At nighttime, 11:30 p.m. do not use your horn. Before 7 a.m. do not use your horn. You can now flash the lights and people will see that flashing no matter what because it's dark. That's the reason why those two are the same meaning behind it. So hopefully that makes sense now. 17. As I said, it's all about understanding what they're asking, why they're asking. You don't have to understand why they're asking it, but you do need to understand what they're asking. The graduate rule being effective. That rule hasn't come in yet. They're doing a consultation on it and it hasn't come in. Even if it does come in, it won't affect you because you passed your theory test, so you're within the older system. But the graduate rule is not in. There's something they're talking about doing. So it hasn't come in yet. But either way, it's not going to affect you because you're in. You're in before the doors close. That's the best way of explaining it. So you're good. And this is one of the reasons why I'm saying to you guys, get your theory done and dusted now while they're doing this consultation. Um, 17B. Yeah, if there's a risk of further danger. Yeah. You have to make an unexpected journey. You're carrying a 5-year-old child in the back seat of your car. They're under 1.35 meters tall. How should you seat them if a correct child restraint is not available? I gave you the answer to this earlier on. It's funny how the questions pop up when we discuss studs and baby seats, child seats. I pass, first of all, I've not seen your name before, defact file, so welcome. I passed my theory test 43, multiple choice, 62 hours perception. I'm glad it helped. Thank you for coming to the live session. Sorry, congratulations on passing, first and foremost. I'll give you your praise, but I'm the teacher in me. 43, I would definitely be checking your paperwork they gave you. Just make sure road signs, rules of the road isn't relevant on that sheet. And the reason being because you just scraped it. If road signs and rules of the road are on there, I would brush up on that because you're going to need that. Road signs, rules of the road, for when you're driving on your driving lessons and driving tests. So I would just brush up on that. I wouldn't put the books away just yet. That's what I would do on that. But has perception nailed it. I think that one that states you have to do 60 lessons before getting the license. I've seen some videos on TikTok saying it's for Northern Ireland, but still not sure if it's no, definitely not the UK. Trust me, you'll know about it if it's in the UK. I don't know about the 60 lessons. I'm not sure about Northern Ireland because their rules are totally different. So I don't keep up to date with the Northern Ireland tests and all the rest of it. So it could be over there, but they are doing a consultation. No figures being set as yet, and this is what I'm saying to all of you. While they're doing this consultation, get your theory test done and dusted. Be in the system, the old system rather than the new system. What they're trying to do is saying once you pass the theory test, there's going to be a set time before you can take a driving test. They're trying to put a figure of lessons on it. Like I said, there's no figure being set yet. They're just doing a consultation. In my experience, I've been an instructor for 30 years. When the DVSA start to do these consultations, they tend to go ahead with it. They're just literally what we call smoke screen. They pretend like, yeah, they're doing a consultation to get the best out of it. They don't listen to us as instructors. So I think it will go ahead. How much lessons, how much time is not being set as yet, but I wouldn't be waiting for that to happen. I would literally try to pass my theory test now. So I'm under the old system. So if you pass today your theory test, for example, you're in a position to take your driving test tomorrow if you can get a test date and you're ready. You don't want to pass your theory test today and you have to do 60 lessons in this case, for example. If you did 60 lessons, if you're doing 2 hours a week, that's 8 hours a month. You're now looking about 8 months lessons before you can even take a driving test, and it has to be signed off by the instructor from what they're saying. So you have to, there's no way around it. So that's my advice on you guys. Do it now while the system is laxed. What are we on? 18. But at this point in time, you're welcome, by the way. You're safe. October, regardless of what happens, you're going to be good. Got a D on there. Got another D. Got another D. Interesting. So it's B's and D's, all right? What's B? Behind the passenger seat. How do you guys come up with this answer? You have to make let's try again. You have to make an unexpected journey. You're carrying a 5-year-old child on the back seat of your car. They're under 1.35 meters tall. How should you seat them if a correct child restraint is not available? Why behind the passenger seat? Why not behind the driver's seat? The answer's using an adult seatbelt. That's what I said to you before. A child seat, booster seat, this is what they're talking about, booster seat, by the way. And a rear-facing child seat, which is a baby seat, is 2 different things. That's the conversation we had on the previous question. So you have to make them wear an adult seat, but something is better than none. A child restraint is a child booster seat. That's what they're talking about. Because by using again, let me give you some understanding and context behind this. Using a child booster seat, it's like taking a child to a restaurant, a small child to a restaurant, they sit in a booster seat, or high chair is what they call it. It's the same in a car. If the child's too small, which is in this case 1.35 meters, are too small. If one is not available for them to sit on and wear an adult seatbelt, the reason being, if they're on a child booster seat, the seatbelt doesn't cut into their neck. It sits the way it should sit. Whereas if there's one not available, an adult seatbelt still has to be worn. It's law. You still have to wear the seatbelt, but it will be cutting across in their neck. But something is better than nothing. That's the reason why the answer is what it is. But the question you got to ask yourself is, how that's safe sitting behind the passenger seat without a seatbelt? What will happen if you follow this vehicle too closely? All right, Right, let's take a look. My test is in, I'm assuming that's 12 days. I did no revision. Am I cooked? Am I cooked? The question you got to ask yourself, the question I would be asking if you was my student, why did you book a test and no revision? But it's in 12 days. Can you revise in 12 days? Yeah, I used to run a 5-day study camp, so it's possible. But that was structured, very, very structured, passing 5 days. So it's possible. It's just a case of how much work you're going to put in and whether it's going to be structured or not. Or it's just going to be random, doing mock test after mock test, which is not the best way to learn. But like I said, I would be asking myself, why did you book a test without no revision? But you got 12 days. It is possible, without a doubt. Rock Priest, I'm not seeing your name, so welcome. Thank you to your live sessions and videos. Pass, again, my camera's flashing all over the place. So hopefully it's still going. It's just my camera, I think, because the other mock test screens are right. First of all, welcome to the live session. Congratulations, massive congratulations, 50 out of 50. That's hard to do on the real test. And 73 missed it by 2. Almost a full house. That's amazing. Thanks to your advice, I'll focus on studying for highway code rather than memorizing just answers from mocks. Brilliant. Yeah, that's the highest score I've ever seen. Even from my own students. 50 out of 50 I've seen quite a few times from my students. 73, I think 72 comes to mind. I've never seen a 73, so well done to you. Rock Priest, I must remember that. Congratulations. 73 is high. And I bet you, even though you passed, right, with a high score, I bet you kind of gutted that you didn't get 75. Because we always want that a little bit more. But well done, though, anyway. 19, let's find the 19s. Sammy, I just saw your comment. Let me come back to that. Let me just do the 19s first. Okay, so you're fine, you're welcome. Yeah, it's going to be, your view's going to be restricted. With lorries, buses, the biggest issue with you guys on your driving test is buses and lorries, because test centers normally in town areas. Stay back. There's a saying, if you can't see my wing mirror, I can't see you. It's true. If you can't see the wing mirrors, they can't see you. But not only by staying back, it gives you a clear view of the roads on the left and the right. You want to be able to make your own decisions when you're driving. Not he slows down, you slow down. You want to see why he's slowing down before he slows down. And it keeps you calmer that way as well. So always hold well back. Sorry, I've done that. Let me do number 20. A police car is following you. What should you do? The police officer flashes the headlights and points to the left. Please explain what a correct child restraint is. A correct child, don't, you're looking too much into it. It's just the way the way it's worded. A correct child restraint, just using the right restraint for the right child, is basically it. So all they're saying is you got 3 types of children. Okay, you've got a baby, which is a front facing one we spoke about. So they'll be in the front passenger seat with you on the baby seat. You've got a child under a certain age, which, not a certain age, under a certain height, which is 1.35 meters. That's the child restraint. It's a booster seat. It's just a little, like a cushion. That's basically what it is. It's a cushion. They sit on it, so they're higher up in the seat. So the seat belt sits across the shoulder. Now, if they haven't got the child booster seat, the seat belt goes across the neck, but still has to be used in that sense. And then you've got a child who's taller than 1.35 meters, and they just go straight with an adult seat belt because they're high enough to have the seat belt across the shoulder. That's all it is. But they're making it sound like correct child restraint. It's just the correct measures to make sure the child is safe and secure in the car. Hopefully that makes sense. And these are the questions you guys should be asking yourself when you're studying. So like I said, these are good questions. Obviously, I'm not there to explain it to you, but there's nothing wrong with you jotting it down and bringing it to the live sessions, and I'll explain it live. And this is where the understanding side of it thing comes in. 20A is what you guys are going for. Pull up on the left. These are, it says police car. These are traffic officers. Technically on the real test is traffic officers. Because traffic officers, again, giving you some context, understanding behind the question. Traffic officers do not have law enforcing powers. They can't cut you up or chase you all the way down the road. So the question normally is, how would they get you to stop? This is just worded differently. Let's make sure all the ones that A's are coming up. Got another A coming through. So how did they get you to stop? As you can see, they flash their lights, point to the left, and they're saying that it's you they want. They don't want you to pull over to the left slowly so they can drive by. They want you, so they want you to pull up on the left and stop. If you decide not to stop for whatever reason, then they would radio for police assistance, and then the police would catch up at some point, and the police would take the chase over and do what they have to do to get you to stop on the left. But again, they got police car, like I said, it's traffic officers. Another question to follow up on that: what colour are the lights on top of a traffic officer's car? And it's red and amber when they're driving, and it's red when they stop. That's another 2 questions on the theory test, on the real test, not the apps. Red and amber when they're driving, and red when they stay stopped. So as you said, as I said, as you can see, there's 2 questions got wrong because you guys reread it, but I have to go with the majority because this test is about you, not about me. I'll just give you context behind it. Breakdown of the test. This is a 20 question mock test. There's 10 categories here out of 14, and the one with the most is vehicle handling, which is 4. There's no other one. There's 3 traffic and road and traffic signs, and there's 3 hazard awareness. But as I said earlier on, some of you are saying that you are failing because of one particular topic. That's not true. You're failing because it's a combination of topics. You just feel that particular topic is your weakest category, which it may well be, but it's not enough to fail you. If it's just one category that you feel that you're struggling on, then you shouldn't be failing a 50 question mock test, because they don't give you that many. They're not going to give you 8 questions in that one particular topic for you to fail. So it's a combination of others. Just don't get so isolated that you think it's... So again, the common one in the study camp, road studs. I keep failing on road studs. You keep getting the road studs questions wrong, but you're not failing because of road studs. You're failing because it's other categories that play a part, but you just see road studs as your weak point. There's a difference. So hopefully, like I said, this session, because like I said, some good questions came up when we got to this one. I don't know why this is so large. Let's put this down. But that's the type of questions you want to be asking yourself when you're studying. What does child restraint mean? Booster seat, stuff like that. And then just Google it. Just type it in and Google. Or AI. AI will give you a bit more definition behind it than Google will. But in saying that, Google's now using AI explanations. So if the AI explanation is better, it'll actually show you the AI answer as well. So we're going to do a hazard perception in a minute. I just want to clarify clear up these comments that's still outstanding. How soon would you advise before booking a test again? I'm assuming you mean a theory test. I can't answer that. Everybody's different. If you are getting 42 out of 50 and it's 5 categories, a couple of questions over 8 questions wrong, spread over 5 categories. 2 weeks later, 3 weeks if you can get the test date. If you're getting 35s, 36, I would go back to the beginning and restudy those categories. Because if you're getting 15 odd questions wrong, give or take, on the real test, and you studied for it, that's a lack of understanding. That's not going to change with a few study sessions. That's understanding, lack of. So I can't really answer that. It's down to the individual. Now listen to you, I realised I was guessing a lot. Gonna really study. There you go, guessing. There's only two ways it's gonna go. You're either gonna guess right, or you're gonna guess wrong. The chance that you're gonna guess wrong because you don't understand what they're looking for. Because a guess doesn't always lead you to the safe answer. As you saw with this test, I'll just put this one back up. Live, there's 2 questions the majority of you got wrong because I let you guys choose the answers on this. So there's 2 questions on this. Yeah, it's 18, wasn't it? Yeah, 2 questions on this, and we're in a live session that you got wrong. The majority of you got wrong. So people are still guessing, and you don't want to be guessing. You really don't. And not only that as well, what I would suggest you do on the real test, like I said before, there may be questions that you have never seen before, never come across on the real test, and you just haven't got a clue what they're talking about. Then what you want to be doing is working backwards. Read the question very carefully, look for clues in the question, similar to what I did with the fog one, because I've never seen it worded like that before. And so I'm actually learning with you with that. So I still just applied the basic guidelines, as in deep headlights and fog lights are driving lights, they're not park lights. But anyway, that's not what I'm talking about. Work backwards. So go looking for the stupid answer. There's always a stupid answer on there. It stands out a mile, it's stupid, it's unsafe, get rid of it. So even if you turn around and went to guess, at least you got rid of the stupid one first, and now your guess is going to be better than it was previously because you're guessing with 1 in 3 rather than 1 in 4. Sometimes there's 2 stupid answers, now you're down to a 50-50. But what most of you do, don't know what the answer is, and you still go looking for the correct answer, which is 1 in 4. Don't do that. If you don't know what the answer is, go backwards, work out which one it can't be, and then get rid of that one. At least now you go down to 1 in 3. You got a better chance of picking the correct one. So work backwards, don't always work forwards. Vic J TVC, I've not seen you before, so definitely welcome. How can I get the desktop? Pay for it. Go onto their website and pay for it. It's a lot more than the app. The app is $4.99, I believe. A one-time payment. This is monthly subscription. Because I use it all the time to make my videos and do the live sessions on Sunday, I pay for it, but it's yearly. So I don't know what the subscription is because I'll just pay once yearly and it's done. But like I said, it's more for a driving instructor's version rather than a student version. But you can get it. Just go onto their main website and see what their subscription cost is. But I believe it's considerably more than the desktop version. Hey man, I just got a 49. First of all, I've not seen you there before, so welcome. 49, so you missed it by 1. That's a really high score. Well done to you for 49 out of 50, 65 out of 75, another high score. That's in the app. Where would you find the contra funds? The one-way system is where you would find it. But that's questions actually on the app. I cover that on Tuesdays when we do road signs on the study camp. Contra, again, giving some context behind it. Contra means going against the flow of traffic. So the traffic's going up in the correct way and the bus is going against the flow of traffic, hence contra flow. But where would you find it? It's a one-way road, one-way street is the answer. Again, I've not seen your name before, so welcome. Pass my test on 45 out of 50, 55 out of 75. Congratulations on passing. Appreciate that. A few hazard clips where there was no obvious hazard with traffic. Just 2 breaks. Let me just read. I'm going to do a hazard perception in a minute, but this is funny. a few hazard clips where there were no obvious hazards. The traffic just seemed to brake and slow down a bit. That's a hazard. A hazard is anything that's caused you to slow down or change direction. So if a car is braking, it's a hazard. You're slowing down, because if you don't slow down, you're going to crash into it. That's what a hazard is. So that's a good segue, by the way. Good morning to you. So let me just put this back up. Yeah, so a hazard perception, 14 videos, 13 of them have hazards. Try again. 14 videos, 13 of them have hazards on it. One single hazard that you're going to score on, and one of them's got a double hazard. There's two types of hazards on the videos, by the way. There's potential, it could have been an issue, but it wasn't. And there's the developing one that developed into the problem that did cause you to slow down and did cause you to change direction. So that's what you're looking for. What they say on the videos is for you to click nice and early. The earlier you click, the highest mark you're going to get. What they don't tell you, if you click too early, you're going to get a 0. It has to be within the countdown window. So anything before the 5 or after the 5, before the 5 or after the 1 is going to be a 0. So what you want to do is make sure you get a score for the problem. That's what you have to do, is make sure you get a score for the problem. The way to do that is to click twice, and my camera's flashing on and off. So you click when you see the problem, and then you count 1, 2, and then you click again. So similar to what the comment's still there. It may not be obvious to you, but if a car is braking, that is a hazard. So you need to click. Just in case you didn't know, that click in real life represents you checking the mirrors. The mirrors on the theory test, on the driving test, is massive, which I'm going to show you in a minute. My theory test is tomorrow. I wish you luck with it tomorrow. I wish you... Yeah, that threw me when you got the 4th on there. That's why my brain didn't figure that out. It's the 5th. If it's tomorrow, it's May. January, February, March, April. It's not, it's May. Getting my dates wrong. It is the 4th. No, it's not. January, February, March, April, May. May's the 5th. I'm struggling with my numbers. You guys just trying to confuse me. May is the 5th month of the year, not the 4th month of the year. But anyway, let me show you. Let me get my iPad out and I'll show you how this all ties in. And I don't know. I can't remember the person who got 43 out of 50. And I said, check your sheet to make sure road markings and rules of the road isn't there as a weakness. So this is why. So this is your test report sheet that you're going to get. So I'll show you. On your driving test, you're going to get a copy of this. Pass or fail. So driving test report sheet. So your theory test is like box 17 mainly. Traffic signs, which we did. Road markings. Traffic lights, traffic control, other road users. So this is why I'm saying just double check it, because again, I get a lot of students who pass their theory test already come to me for driving lessons and they don't even know what a give way sign is, or what it means behind it. So I've got to now stop on the side of the road, explain it, why we should be driving, because they've already passed their theory test. Position, normal driving, pedestrian crossings, that's your toucans, pelicans, puffins. Position, normal stops, more than 10 meters away from a junction, not near a zigzag, not on a brow of a hill. Those are all the theory test type of questions. But your mirrors is, so your hazard perceptions, your mirrors, before you signal, change your direction, change your speed. So what they're trying to train you to do in those videos is when you see a problem, you click, problem, click, problem, click. That's the way I teach my students. So you see a problem, first thing you do is click, boom, done. And then you've got time to now deal with the problem nice and early. Obviously, in real life, you don't check your mirrors twice. If you have to, but you don't need to do that. But on the video, you're trying to pass their test. 2 clicks will do that for you. So let me just make sure there's no other comments on that. You retyped it. I got there in the end. With that. All right, so let me hazard perception. So like I said, I use 4-in-1 on my app. on my iPad when I'm teaching in the car if I need to bring up anything, and I do it, as you can see, desktop, and use it in my videos. So that's what I recommend. Like I said, I'm not saying it's the best one, but I find it user friendly for me. Has a perception practice. When you are practicing, there's two types of clips. There's real life and the CGI. On your real test, it's all CGIs. It's on point. What I mean by point, it's crystal clear, and the markings on point. With the real life clips, sometimes the timing is off. You've clicked, but you still can get a 0 for it or a low score for it, so it's not always in tune. So don't be too hard on yourself if you get a low score on your real life. But if you're getting low scores on CGIs, I would be concerned because it's on point. Let's do this 157. It's got no stars. So I'll do a commentary drive, which means I'm going to talk out loud what I'm looking at, so you know why I'm going to be clicking if necessary. So you've got a motorway sign, road to my left, branches off. And when you're watching the video, always scan from left to right. So I'm scanning from the brick wall to the crash barrier because road signs are on the left and on the right. Again, looking as far as you can see to that lorry. I'm not watching the car in front, I'm watching the lorry in front. And then work your way back to where you are, the immediate danger. And that's what you should be doing when you're driving. There's nothing going on. There's a car coming out now. So a click. I'm going to go for a third click as well. If you have to go for 3 clicks to get a score, go for 3 clicks. Remember, it's about you getting a score. Get that score. That's all that matters. But keep clicking or watching, sorry, just in case it's your double. Your car coming on my right. If he signals, I'm going to be clicking, but he's not signaling. Four out of 5. So always review it back to see if you can improve. So there's nothing going on there. So let's just speed up for the sake of the video. So the cars are coming at the side. Sorry, let me just go back a bit. Was there a warning? There's not even a warning to say there's a side road. Or slip road. It wouldn't be a side road, it'd be a slip road. So the car's coming there. Could I have seen it sooner? The car just popped, for me, just popped out of nowhere. So I'm happy with the 4. There's my second click. I think I went for a third one just in case the black car was the issue. And they give you the highest marks. There's no benefits in clicking once. You run the risk of getting a 0 if you click once, but lots of benefits if you click at least twice. But make sure you get a score. So like I said, I went for a third click just in case the black car was the issue, not the white car, but still gave me the highest mark. Let me just check to make sure there's no comments on that. No problem. You're welcome. Lack of understanding. That's the common reason why people fail. Because like I said, that you guys are still studying the apps as it's the real questions. You're not understanding the apps is sampled. But if you understand the questions and the answers on the app and understand the app is a sampled version of the questions, then it doesn't make a difference when you go for the real test because the understanding is there. They can word it any way they want. But you're still going to get to the correct answer because the understanding behind it is there. And that's what you guys are missing. Sorry, Sam the Black. I've not seen your name before, so welcome to the channel. Or the live, should I say. There you go. What am I missing to help me pass? Let me do the has percent. I'll come back to that. This is common so much. But let me come back to that. Let me do the has perception. So I'm going to do CGI. Trying to find no stars. This has got no stars. All right, so number 3 is what I'm going to do. I've got no stars, so let's take a look at this. Cars parked up on the pavement. I'm going to have to change direction slightly. So I'll check my mirrors. The pedestrians on the pavement but behave themselves. If they was near the edge of the pavement, I would think about clicking, but because they're near the wall, that's safe. Another pedestrian on the left. Then I'm scanning from left to right, road sign, school area. Black car to my right, I'm gonna click, because I don't know if he's gonna stop at the give way. It's time to go again, click again. Learner, stalling it. Be patient, don't beep your horn. Tight space, I'm gonna click for that. Less space, less speed is what we say as instructors. Then he's got an indicator and I'm gonna check for that, click for that, sorry, check. Because he may not turn, he may stall again. And that's 5 out of 5. Always review it back to see how you can improve. That can just speed it up. So the car coming from the side road, there's my 2 clicks. And then the car starts to move. 2 different problems, just be aware of that. Let me just replay that back, because some of you, what you do, you see the car and you've clicked and you think that's it. Those 2 clicks were for the car coming from the give way line. I wasn't sure if it was going to stop. He stopped at the give way. As I get closer, he starts to move. That's a different problem, which means it's a different click. Because if I left it the way it was originally, 2 clicks for that one, for the 2 problems, that's a 0. I repeat, those 2 clicks was for the car. Whether it's going to stop at the give way, I don't know. I checked my mirrors, and then as I'm going on, he's moving again. So it's a different click. And there you have it. And that's the reason why you go for 2 clicks per problem, not for 2 clicks for 2 problems. 2 clicks per problem. So hopefully that all makes sense. Let me come out of this. Well, Sander Black, I think I went to deal with, didn't I? Oh, hello, I failed my theory test twice now, missing 2 and 3 marks from passing. What am I missing to help me pass? But I don't know you, but just from what you're saying, that's where you're going wrong first and foremost. Let me explain. I've said this before and I'm going to say it again and again because I get lots of emails. You did not miss it by 2 or 3 marks. Let's just use 3 marks because you said you failed it twice. So let's take 3 as the highest. In other words, what you're saying is I got 40 out of 50 and I needed 3 to pass. That's one of the reasons why you're failing. Soon as you tell your brain that you only need 2 or 3 more, you study for getting 2 or 3 more. And correct me if I'm wrong, when you failed the first one, missed it by a couple of marks, you thought, okay, I only need a couple of marks, and you went in and booked it straight again. A week later, 2 weeks later, if you could get the test date, whenever the nearest one was available, you booked it. And you can put that in a comment if I'm wrong with that information. And now you failed it again, now you're thinking about doing another one, that's why you're here asking the question. So let me just say this again, this is for all of you. If you failed the test, you did not miss it by X, Y, or Z. You needed those marks to pass. So in this case, let's just take the 3 marks. You missed it by 3. So that means you got 40 out of 50. You needed 3 to pass, but you did not miss it by 3. You got 10 questions wrong. There's a reason why you got 10 questions wrong. Whether it's a lack of knowledge, lack of preparation, lack of understanding, whatever it happens to be, that's the problem you need to solve. You should be aiming for 50 out of 50. Because if you aim for 50 out of 50 and you fall short, you should be still passing because you fall what I call forwards. But if you aim for the pass mark of 43 and you fall short, you're falling backwards, which is before the finish line. That's one of the reasons. So you need to change your mindset. Study to get 50 out of 50. You'll see your score improve. It's just the way the brain works. You tell the brain it has to go a short distance, it's only going to do the work for the short distance. You tell the brain it has to go a long distance, it will prepare for long distance journey. And that's one of the reasons why. Outside of that is looking on the categories. But if you've got 10 questions wrong, that's going to be, 7 categories at least. That's back to the drawing board for me, if you was my student, and do each topic separately. So I hope that helps. I recently just passed my test. Thanks to you. Thanks for everything. Zeus, you are welcome. This is how the hazard video usually is or isn't. Oh, you're asking me a question. The real test is anything from 45 seconds to a minute. They vary in lengths. It's about 45 seconds to a minute, not much more than a minute. You have to train your brain mentally to keep watching. Even if the hazard was near the beginning, you don't know if it's one of your double ones. So I've seen videos where the hazard's virtually at the beginning and the double one is near the end. So you have to keep watching the video, be vigilant. So don't switch off at any point. But to answer your question, the app hazards, all the CGI ones I'm talking about, not the real life ones, are similar to what you're going to get on the real test. They're not the same videos. They're totally different videos, and the quality is a bit more crystal. And the other thing as well on the real test, this is based on feedback that the students give me, the videos are slightly slower on the real test itself. So it's more important that you click twice and space it out. Literally click 1, 2. Because if you go click, then the first click could be too early. That means the second one could be too early. But yeah, to answer your question, it's about 45 seconds to a minute. They vary in length. My wife sent me a message, just came back. Thank your wife for me. I don't just want to appreciate you. Pass your test this week. Congratulations on passing. Thank you for letting me know. Hello to everyone. I'm doing first time here. Well, welcome. I don't do ADI. Sorry, let me just read that again. First time here, do you recover any ADI hazard perception? Videos fails my first question. It's got 90, 100 pass. Hazard perception 42.75, 52.75. That doesn't make sense. First time do you cover, and so I'm just trying to work this. My dyslexia is really having struggling this morning. If you're doing an ADI test, you got 90 out of 100 and you failed it, that means you somewhere along the line, because 4 categories, band A, B, C, D, that means somewhere along the line you got less than 85%. I believe it's 85% over 4 bands and 85 overall. So if you got 90 out of 100, one of your bands was less than 85. That's why you failed. So you'd have to look at that band and go again. And correct me if I'm wrong on that. But to answer your question, no, I don't do AGI theory. But what you can do, if you didn't know, if you haven't done it, is the theory driving test success app is what I'm using for this session. Go into the settings and change the questions to ADI theory questions. And it's all on there. All the instructor questions are on there. And then you can set it up to do the mock test the way it should be done over the 4 bands. If you really want help with that. Thank you so much. Samuel, you're welcome. Only failed HP. You made a comment before. Let me see if I can find your comment to see where that's related to. Only failed HP. So what's the pass mark for HP then? Because you're taking the driving instructor. I took mine when so if you pass the questions, that's still 90%, 90 out of 100. Only failed HP. So you only failed the hazard perception. What's the pass mark? Let me know what the pass mark is for the hazard perception. When I took my driving instructor's exam years ago, believe it or not, there was no hazard perception in it back then. And then we had to do, when the hazard perception came in, we had to do past hazard perception, just the hazard perception within the first year. But they paid for it. The DVSA paid for the first attempt. But when I passed, there was no hazard perception, and I can't remember what the pass mark was. 57. Okay, so what did you get? You're 5 short, and it's 75. What has perceptions? Either way, has perception for the students, learner drivers, sorry, and for PDIs, which is what you are. It's the same. A hazard's a hazard. If you're getting 52, I would look at look at your breakdown. What 5s, 4s, 1s, 2s, 0s, whatever you're getting, understand what a hazard is. But what I would definitely be doing though is obviously practice that to get that higher up. Because as a driving instructor, you really want to be in the 60s as a hazard perception, because you need to see further than what a student sees, because you need to see early so you can tell them what's coming and talk them around it in early stages. But I would definitely polish my questions, because you got 90, as much as you got 90 out of 100, on paper it sounds like a decent score, but when you go for another test, it is going to be different questions. So I would definitely still polish up on my questions, but definitely polish up on my hazard perception. But now you know what a hazard is. A hazard is anything that's going to cause you to slow down or change direction. But like I said, the questions you are definitely going to need for your students when you're teaching, and the hazard perception you're going to need because you have to see it first so you can pass that information on to your students next to you. So your scores need to be really high. Let me just see if there's any other comments on it before we sign out. But thank you guys for attending today. I appreciate it. You guys are asking some good questions. But as I said, and in the thumbnail, when you guys are studying, doing your test, whatever app you are using of choice, use a combination of your app to understand stuff, get more understanding through YouTube. Like there's other people out there doing theory training on their channels as well. It's not just me. And use AI if you have to. Use Google to type in certain words that you do not understand. What question are we talking about? Sorry, Sammy, what question are you talking about? Because you just said you was going. What have I missed? Type it in quickly, let me see, and I'll answer before we sign out. Because normally if I got a question, I'll save it, and I've not got nothing saved. The wrong question, they are 2 in number. What do you mean the 2 questions that was wrong on the test? We dealt with them as and when they came up. If that's what you're talking about. If it's the 2 that came up on the 20 question mark says, we dealt with it at the time. But let me know if there's something different that I'm missing. That's the reason why you go for 2 clicks. You don't rely on 1, you go for 2, because it is possible, especially if you're trained to be a driving instructor. I don't know if you're doing your part 2 along with your part 1, which is your driving test version. Because if you're doing it, if you've got a trainer, they're training to look far ahead, so you are seeing things nice and early. If you apply that to the video, you're going to get lots of zeros on there. So that's the reason why you have to go for 2 clicks just to cover yourself. So the first one's too early, the second one lands in the 5 or the 4. But if you're doing 1 click, you run the risk of getting quite a lot of zeros. Yeah, sorry, Samuel, we dealt with that as it was. I think one was the parking lights. As I said to you, the dip lights, fog lights are driving lights. That's the reason why that was wrong. It's parking lights that should have been on. And the other one was the baby seat, front facing deactivated airbags. You guys chose seatbelt as the option, or child restraint for a baby seat. So we dealt with that at the time. So let me do this. First time joining your life. First time joining, so welcome. Watch all the old videos and sessions. Oh, you passed it. 46 out of 50, 65 high score, has perception. Thank you for coming to live. Let me know. Appreciate that. Sammy said, trust me, done that. Yeah, just practice 2 clicks. And then that should make you good. But restudy the questions, because when you go for your test again, it will be a different set of questions. Remember, your standard's got to be a lot higher than the learner driver standard. So you don't want to go there now and pass the hazard perception and then fail the questions. Because like I said, 90 out of 100 is a decent score on paper, but ideally you want 95, 96, 97. I think when I did mine, I got 98. I got two questions wrong overall. But you do need that knowledge for your students. That's why it has to be strong. The question I got asked though is, why do you want to be a driving instructor? It's not. It's enjoyable. Don't get me wrong. I love the job, but it can be stressful when you're starting out. Not for me now. I'm not so stressed about it now because I can see things happening before it happens. But and when you're starting out to become a driving instructor, it can be frightening. That you have to control your pupil, grab the wheel, go for the foot brake, stuff like that. All right, that's the. Please, I clicked 5 times and app passed me. Is right that? No. I don't know what you mean by click 5 times. Did you click 5 times throughout the video? Did you click 5 times per problem? But I don't know what you mean by that. So you've got to give me a little bit more context on that. And not only that, you're practicing. So practice. If it's working for you at home, then it's working for you. I teach the 2-click method, but you're coming to me about 5 times. I'm not understanding what the 5 times is. 5 times across the whole video, 5 times per problem. If it's 5 times per problem, that's definitely not the right way. You just got lucky this time. But remember, what you got to understand is if their version of the app is more sensitive, and you're clicking 5 times per problem, you're going to end up with too many clicks. So that's what you don't want. So just because you're getting away with it on your app, it doesn't mean you're going to get away with it on theirs. Samuel, one more video, HP. Because you said please, I'll do it for you. Hold on one second, let me get my iPad out. I'll do CGI because obviously that's the real one. Let's see if I can find a blank one. Here we go. You can't see that, can you? If I share my screen, you'll be able to see it. So again, as you're driving, scan the road ahead, looking into the bend. So the car's parked up. There's nothing coming towards me. If there's something coming towards me, I would definitely be clicking at this point. So look into the bend beyond the vans. On the grass verge, you've got a pedestrian on the grass verge to the left. With the car parked up on the right. Car's got a signal, so I'm going to click. So that's what's caused me to slow down. I'm assuming that's the problem, but keep going just in case it's your double. Scan the roads. Car coming towards me. If the car was over the white line, I'd think about clicking, but because it's comfortably on their side of the road, I don't need to be clicking. Keep scanning from left to right. There's nothing going on. 4 out of 5. See how you could improve. So there's nothing going on, so let me just speed up for the sake of the video. And I'll tell you why I clicked here. Let me see what the first click is first. Guess we're all late. Could I got it sooner? Not really, not for me anyway. The reason why I clicked here is because you got the car parked up on the corner. Ferry test question, where shouldn't you park? Answer, within 10 meters of a junction. That car should not be parked there, but it is, which means this car coming down, let me just rewind it. It's got a signal on, turning left, which means when he turns left, he's going to have to be wide on my side of the road, as you can see there. That's the reason why I've clicked, because he's on my side of the road. But the car parked up is a potential problem, because like I said, he's in the mouth of the junction, and with that car signalling, there's my problem. And 2 clicks. So first one was just about a 4. Second one looks like it was a 2. but they gave me the highest mark. They'll always give you the highest mark. And I repeat, that's the reason why you go for 2 clicks per problem. But it's also reading the road ahead. Just seeing that car parked up on the mouth of the junction makes me look out for anything that could be coming into my side road. That's the reason why. So hopefully that makes sense for you, Samuel, and everybody else. And the person who's doing the ADR, I forgot your name, sorry. But the person who's doing the ADR test, if you're still here, that's the reason why you go for 2 clicks. I think it was you. Yeah, 2 clicks. That's why you go for 2. Don't do 1. But look at the breakdown of your scores, though. That's where you want to go. Because like I said, if you're getting lots of 1s, 2s, you're obviously clicking way too late. If you're getting lots of 0s, that suggests you don't know what hazard is. But now you know what hazard is. Anything that's going to cause you to slow down or change direction. Because if you know what hazard is, you don't get 0s. You're going to get low scores maybe, but not 0s. Because if you don't know what hazard is, you're clicking well late or not clicking at all. You're welcome. And you, or Samuel, you're welcome, mate. Right, that seems like the last one. So I'm going to say enjoy the rest of your day, enjoy the rest of your weekend. For those of you, I know some of you are in here, study camp crew, I'm going to see you guys at 1 o'clock. I'm going to grab something to eat before we go into the live session and see you guys at 1 o'clock. Other than that, I'll see you guys next Sunday. For those of you who've got a test coming up, good luck with it. If you are practicing at home, remember, try to use a combination of Google AI to get the explanations behind certain words you don't understand. Anything you don't understand, jot it down during the week and then bring it to the live session and let me answer those, give you some detailed explanations or maybe examples of it if I've got it on an iPad as well. Outside of that, stay safe and I shall see you on, I'm going to say Monday then. I'll see you guys next Sunday. Take care.